Am I wrong for purposely giving alcohol to Mormons? I, 31 male, am a classically trained French chef. I have spent the last 11 years training and cooking in restaurants in France, and I am an American citizen. I met my wife, 26 female, 5 years ago when she was on vacation in France. We fell in love and she lived with me in France. When we decided we wanted to start a family, she expressed a desire to move back to her hometown of Salt Lake City, Utah, in the USA so we can be closer to her family. We had made the move as of last week. I was wondering where the Mormon came into the story. When we made the official move into our house, moving in some furniture from France and some bought furniture stateside, we had a bunch of neighbors come out and help us. What was expected to take 4 or 5 hours of moving in and arranging and putting away ended up taking 2 hours as suddenly 15 people came over to help, with snacks and drinks and advice about the home and neighborhood. I was so grateful and surprised at this kindness, so I offered to cook them all a grand meal 3 days later. Some turned the offer down because their kids are scheduled, others because helping neighbors move is just the Mormon thing to do. I ended up cooking a 4-course French dinner for 3 other couples. They all absolutely love my entree of giga qui plero with the pan sauce, some even asking for seconds of it. I ended up making copies of the recipe for them as a final thank you since they loved it so much. When I gave them the recipes, they looked absolutely shocked. They didn't realize the pan sauce had red wine in it and they are not allowed to consume alcohol because they are Mormons. They ended up getting very angry at me, saying I'm trying to corrupt them with alcohol and that I should respect other people's beliefs and dietary restrictions. My wife is very upset and feels like I ruined our first chance at making friends in our new neighborhood. People I have talked to about this have been very split about it if I am an asshole or not. Some say I should have studied up on Mormon dietary restrictions and modified my recipes to match, while others have said that as the people with the dietary restrictions, they should have mentioned them well before the preparation of the meal to make sure those restrictions are met, just like someone with an allergy would mention it. So which side are you on? Am I the asshole?
My boyfriend said I don't truly love him if I'm not letting him live his life, including flirting with other girls and dating others. We've been together on and off for 5 years. Met in 2018, and 3 months later I found out that he was talking to someone else. Then he went to another country and we were long distance. I've always worried that he would leave me. I'm not good enough because of my mental health. I found out that he was going on dates with another girl in said country from a gut feeling. Ended up with him confessing that he wants to break up. We broke up in June 2019, but after stalking, I realized that they had been dating since March 2019. I was turned and became obsessive with their relationship. We didn't speak for a whole year. Reconnected early 2021 after they broke up. Started dating and it was okay, until I broke down knowing that he was going on an exchange to another country this year. I told him my fears about him finding someone else and replacing me. He said I'm too insecure, and he doubted if I really love him. He said love should be unconditional, and I should be happy if he's happy. He said he wants freedom, and he wants me to be in his life forever. But why can't I be happy if he's happy dating other girls? Why would I limit his life? He said it to me as if it's a favor that he didn't see anyone else this past 2 years. He even told me out of frustration that he would just rather live his life, date, and sleep with other girls, and if I truly loved him then I would stay. I can't let go of this and I'm feeling extremely depressed. All my friends are polyamorous, so I suspect that they would think that this is okay, and I'm an asshole for limiting my boyfriend's life experience. So, am I in the wrong for feeling this way? I, 46 female, have a daughter, 17 female in senior year, who has become so lazy in the past 5 months. Has only been going to school and coming back and sleeping. I was worried about her grades recently, so I called her teacher and she informed me that she was still ahead in all of her classes, though she had other concerns. Her teacher has told me that she was worried about her as she has completely changed and doesn't speak now. Walks in and out of class whilst avoiding her friends. Even though her friends sit with her, she would just ignore them completely. She used to be talkative, friendly at school, and would always hang out with the same people. Her best friend that she's known for 8 years has been trying to reach her alongside her other friends, and she arrived at my door a couple of days ago, asking if she could see her, and my daughter would always be asleep or say she isn't in the mood. I spoke with my daughter to see if they did, and she just said they haven't done anything and she just can't stand anyone anymore. From doing nothing but sleeping, she's become so frail. Though after nearly 4 months into the semester, I have told her repeatedly that she will not be anything in life if she carries on this way. She would just ignore me or lock her room so I can't come in, or if she's annoyed, she will start arguing with me. On Sunday, I went to work, though before I put her basket of newly washed clothes outside of her room and told her to fold it so that she can put it in her wardrobe, and I told her that it better be done before I arrive. She gave a faint okay. I came back a couple hours later to find the basket in the same spot unfolded. I knocked for minutes on end and she just told me to stop. I don't know what came over me, but I got the crowbar from the back and started to take off her lock. After completely denting it, the side facing me came off after a couple of tries and I twisted the bolt. I brought her basket in after finding her standing up behind the door. I proceeded to yell at her and she starts crying, which she hasn't done for a while. We start yelling and saying hurtful things to each other for a while, and after her calling me a monster and failure of a mom, I told her that I would have never had you if you turned out this way. She was clearly taken aback by it, though in the moment it was the truth. All she does is nothing. She just walked out of the house for a couple of hours doing God knows what, though she's been acting completely different since Sunday. She would listen to me and actually leave the house. Every time I came into her room, she would be writing a manuscript. Though it all feels wrong and inauthentic, she seems to have been upset by it deeply. Maybe it's good, as she is now being how I want her to be, though I understand how that could be misconstrued. I can tell that she's trying hard to avoid me, though is still being really friendly. So, am I in the wrong for telling my daughter that I would never have had you if you turned out this way?
I used to be friends with this woman who would constantly be rude to me about the fact that I didn't have children. We're the same age, and I knew her before she had kids, and every time I would go over to her house, she would make little comments like, oh, so sad that you haven't found a good man and had kids yet, because you'll never know what it's like to feel truly fulfilled in life. But you just won't know true fulfillment until you have children, and, you know, it won't be the same, but you can always come spend time with my children. And whenever I tried to tell her, like, no, I'm happy with the way my life is, she would be like, it's because you just don't understand yet. So after hanging out at her house once, I went to meet up with some of my other friends who were women, and I was venting about her a little bit, and I was just like, I'm perfectly fulfilled without kids. And they were like, yeah. I said, I'm so happy that she found her path and that it's working out well for her, but like, I would be miserable if I had 5 kids at my age. And they said, yeah. And I said, and what is with moms acting like they have the monopoly on peeing when they sneeze? We all pee when we sneeze. And they were like, what? I said, you know how when we all sneeze, we pee a little bit. It's like totally normal. And mothers act like it's only them. And my friends were like, you should see a doctor about that. Anyway, that is how I learned that regular people pee when they need to, and they don't hold it in as a technique for keeping themselves focused on a task until it's finished. One summer, I got invited to an extended family reunion at the park, and when I showed up, there was an aunt who I hadn't seen in a really long time, and she ran up to me and gave me a huge hug and put her hands on my shoulders, and then she said, I am so sorry that I did not make it to your French horn recital. And I was like, that is okay, because I don't play the French horn. And she went, You don't play the French horn? I missed your French horn recital. And I said, no, you're thinking of the red-headed nieces and nephews you have. Those are the musically talented ones. The blonde ones all got into mediocre colleges and cry a lot. And then I walked up to my cousin's new wife, who was just sitting there all defenseless with no buffer or anything. And for some reason, I said, we're so glad you're in the family now. We're hoping you help even out some of the crazy. And she said, oh no, I don't think this family's crazy at all. But then, of course, by the end of the night, one of the cousins started screaming at one of the aunts, and it turned into this whole huge fight. The aunt she was screaming with wasn't her mother, and she went and she was like, I don't have to take this. And she got in her car to try to leave, and then aunt was blocking the car and put her hands on the windshield and was like, you can't leave. And then cousin's like backing, she's like trying to wiggle the car out without killing said aunt, and then she escapes, and aunt jumps into her car to do a car chase and chase the cousin because she had decided the fight wasn't over. And I was still sitting next to my cousin's wife when this happened, so she leaned over to me and she said, maybe your family's just like a tiny bit crazy. And then I decided to get into my car to leave, and everybody said, oh, leaving so soon? And I was like, I checked all the boxes for coming to a family reunion. I got free food, check. I got a free show, check. I disappointed the family by not being a music prodigy, check. A few years ago, I lost control of my car while driving down a super steep, super icy hill. And at the bottom of the hill, there were all these cars piled up that had crashed into each other because they had also lost control. And I thought, I don't want to hit the people, so I'm going to drive into that person's yard and hit their tree. But the one time in my life that I tried to jump a curb on purpose, my car was like, nah. And I bounced off the curb, spun around on the ice, and then slammed back into the curb facing uphill on the wrong side of the road. I was like, I'm alive! And then I saw a huge truck, you know, the kind with the love handles on the side. He was barreling down the hill, also out of control, straight towards me. And I was like, oh no, I'm dead. I remember specifically thinking, I didn't think I'd go out this way. But the truck had the same thought process I did, and he jumped the curb, slammed into the tree. And ever since that day, I have been scared of driving in the snow. My whole family makes fun of me for it. They were making fun of me for it last winter. We were all having dinner together, except for my youngest brother who was out snowboarding. And he called us from the ski resort place, and he said, I have been injured and I want Katie to come pick me up. And of course my mother was like, help is on the way, dear. And he said, no, I want Katie to come pick me up. I said, oh, Mom, he probably just doesn't want to take you away from the family on Christmas. But on the inside, I was like, ha-ha, losers. Who did he pick? Me. Not you, not Hermione, me. Who's the favorite sister? I am. Suck it. I said, I'm coming to get ya. And then I continued eating my dinner because in my defense, the damage was already done and I was eating wings. But my family was like, no, Kate, you have to go now. So I abandoned my wings to the vultures that are my family, hopped in my car, drove 2 miles an hour through a snowstorm to rescue baby brother. My big brother was in the car with me, and he kept saying, "Can't you drive faster?" And I was like, "I don't want to die." There were cars and ditches leading all the way up to the ski resort. I kept having to roll down my window and say, "Listen, I'm just here to pick up a body. I'm not going to ski." We get baby brother, we take him to the ER, and I said, "I'm really flattered that you picked me out of the whole family to come pick you up." And he said, "Oh, I just know you drive the slowest in the snow, and you'd be the least likely to panic and die coming to pick me up." And that made me really happy too, because it was the first time in my life anybody had ever nominated me least likely to panic. I'm always panicking. And I said, "You know what? After all this, I'm going to get you ice cream." But baby brother is 6'5" and built like a lumberjack. I think he's 6'5". He always says he's shorter than he is because he's a few centimeters shy of 6'5". And he's like, "I don't want to be that guy who lies about his height." And I try to explain to him that after you clear 6'3", everyone's too scared to call you on your height. This Thor-looking mother trucker looked at me and said, "I don't really do ice cream." And I was like, and he said, "I mean, yes, could you please buy me some ice cream to make me feel better?" And I said, "Yeah."